Hey, so if you are practicing to parent from your peace, and if you are currently attempting to break certain cycles, such as spanking or screaming, etc., this video may be for you. In this video, I am going to speak a bit about how we can use parenthood to shift from living in fear to parenting from and experiencing more peace. Also, for those of you who are looking for some high value resources that can help you to parent from your peace, if you want the free resources and tools that I'm currently providing, comment or direct message me the word peace. My name is Michelle Bowen. I am a parent empowerment coach, an elevator, an author, and I help parents, or I support parents as they get more skilled at using parenthood strategically to help them experience more peace in parenthood, less spanking, less screaming, less overwhelm, less mom guilt. It's common for us to believe that being afraid is helpful. This belief can lead to us thinking that giving in to the fear, afraid of being late to get the kids to school, afraid of not having enough money, afraid of what other people are thinking, afraid of not being in control of our child. So this belief that fear is good and helpful can lead us to believe that living in fear and parenting from fear actually helps us to get the results that we want, because a lot of the things that we do that we don't want to do anymore in parenthood, such as screaming, spanking, etc., come from us being in fear of not being in control. What happens is we will spank and we will scream, etc., and then we will believe that we're getting what we want, because in that moment it seems like me being afraid of not being in control led me to hit my child, which is leading to the peace right now in the home, because my child is now upstairs crying in their room, and when they're done crying, they'll be a little bit more calm. So it looks like being in fear really is helpful. Sometimes it can look like being in fear is helping us when we are stressed and nervous or scared about not having the money to pay for a bill. It can seem like the fear is what gets us up and gets us moving and gets us doing all these things to help us be able to have the money to pay for the thing. But that's just what it looks like. That's just what it seems like when we are operating from the belief that fear is helpful. Because there's also a version of you that believes that peace is helpful. And that version of you notices that there's a bill that needs to be paid, but gives yourself permission to handle it from peace, and it still gets taken care of, but just from a different energy and a different vibration, and something that feels a little bit more soothing to your nervous system and to those in your environment. But if we were programmed from a very young age to believe that fear is helpful, then of course from that belief, you might look at anyone else who's choosing to parent from peace or live from peace. You might look at them and think that's weak, and that it's lazy, and that it's not productive. So when we're believing that fear is helpful, or that inner turmoil, inner chaos, or inner turbulence is actually helping us to get some pep in our step, right? Helping us to actually get a little spicy with our kids, which leads to a result of our preference, like silence, right? If I spank you, threaten you, scream at you, if I punish you for an extended period of time, obviously it's helping, because I hear silence, crickets. I don't hear you running around in the house. I don't hear you making a lot of noise. So obviously, although I felt chaotic on the inside, scared that I was out of control, it led to me getting the result that I wanted. So then why isn't that working for a lot of us then? If that logic is accurate, helpful, and beneficial to the family that we are creating, right? And to the type of relationship that we want to have with our children. If that logic is beneficial, then why does it seem like there are certain patterns looping that we end up feeling shame and guilt about, and that lead to us feeling disconnect with our children and ourselves? So the more that we live from and parent from fear and therefore do things and think things from that state of consciousness, the more that we experience a relationship with ourselves and our children that does not feel harmonious, balanced, it does not feel safe, it does not feel loving or compassionate. Our children at their core are confident. They don't question themselves. A lot of them aren't at a place where they've been programmed yet to doubt themselves, right? And so they really like to be around people who are confident, stable within themselves. And when we are constantly operating from a state of fear, trying to control, not accepting life as it is, not accepting ourselves as we are, not accepting our children as they are, when we are constantly in a state of fear that something's going to go wrong at any moment, worried and afraid about the worst case scenario all the time, then we are far removed from our own core, which is stable, clear, which is present, which feels peaceful, which is something that resonates more with our children's core: confident, stable, peaceful. So when we operate from fear and inner turbulence, more often than not, it can make it to where our relationship with our children just doesn't feel connected, it doesn't feel harmonious, it doesn't feel balanced. Even though it might seem like that's normal, because we've been conditioned for many generations to believe that that's just how parenthood is. It's supposed to be turbulent. It's supposed to be a hot mess. It's supposed to be full of yelling and screaming and arguing and power struggles. That's just normal. It is what it is. We've been conditioned and programmed to believe that. So it can seem like that's just normal, but may this video inspire you to really feel into how it doesn't have to be your normal. It doesn't have to be. If it is, that's okay, and we accept that, but just recognize, or give yourself permission to also recognize that you can create your own normal based on the type of energy you prefer to experience in your own home and in a relationship with yourself and your child. You can choose your normal. You can create your normal, even if you were programmed and conditioned from a young age to believe that normal is yelling, normal is screaming, normal is spanking, normal is power struggles, normal is the parent feeling low energy all day long and tired and drained. Even if you were programmed and conditioned to believe that that is normal, I hope that this video inspires you just to give some energy and attention to the idea that you are free to create your own normal in a way that feels good for you. And that doesn't mean that you're not going to parent, you're not going to be a guide, and that you're not going to teach your child. It just means you're able to do it from the type of energy and vibration and frequency that you prefer to experience in your relationships. So how do we break the cycle of parenting from fear, parenting from constantly seeing the worst case scenario or being afraid of the worst case scenario, or constantly feeling like we have to control? How do we break that cycle of parenting from a nervous system that feels taxed and drained? Just give yourself permission more and more to realize that you learned to operate from that energy. You learned to operate from the belief that there's always something to fear. There are things and people that need to be controlled constantly. You learned that it's not what we were thinking or acting from when we were born. So give yourself permission more and more to be aware of that pattern when it pops up, and to recognize that you have the ability to look at that pattern and say, not today. Because you're the awareness of the pattern. So the more that you give yourself permission to be aware of the pattern, the less of a hold it has on you. And then you get to explore what it feels like for you to parent from your peace, or from the clarity that naturally is there when you are not giving your attention and energy to those patterns of constantly fearing the worst case scenario, or feeling as though you have to scream, spank, etc. Give yourself the opportunity to explore who and what you are when you're free of those patterns, just by simply being the awareness of them. Okay, so again, if you want some high value but free resources that can really help you to experience more peace in parenthood with some action steps that you can actually apply, comment or direct message me the word peace